friends. Chris Kelly here. Well, it's time to look at weekly stats, the weekend edition, because I didn't get it done by Friday. Better late than never. That said, let's dive right in. I'm gonna take a little deeper dive on stats. I've been trying to do that once a month as what we call the market action report from the RMLS system comes out. It's really a great collection of information if you know how to read it. And so that's what I'm going to try to do is pull out the important nuggets and leave the rest. So without further ado, we'll start with our weekly graphic. The number of new listings definitely up. Definitely up. Not like ridiculous, but more. Pending sales pretty consistent. Closed sales very consistent. Median days on the market, interestingly slightly larger disparity between median and average, which usually means that there's some stragglers. There's some homes that are sitting on the market 150, 200 days or more that pull that average. That's why I always say the median's a better representation of the numbers. But I tell people, look, on average, you should plan on month and a half, 2 months. Now, there's some circumstances where that's certainly different, but in general, that's supported by the weekly data that we look at here. As far as average and median sales price, this really does, on a week-over-week basis, describe flat. We'll jump into that a little bit more detail here in a minute. So, in fact, we'll do it about right now. Let's look at the graphs first. Let me blow these up a bit. There we go. So, active residential listings. The nice thing about this, when we're looking at my graphic that we look at every week, when we're looking at new listings, we're looking at new listings for the week. Right? So how many new listings came on that week? And that's what this representation is on a month-to-month basis. In the month of April, how many listings came to market? In the month of May, so on and so forth. What's important, I think, is to look at that versus this. And that is, what are the actual residential listings in a given month that exist? So the ones that didn't sell and are still out there, as well as the new ones. And you can see that we remain most of 1,000 up to a little over 1,000 heavier in listing inventory than we were in the year before, in 2024, and notably more than that in the year 2023. So listing inventory demonstrably here is growing. And that's because listings are it's not spiked and dramatic. That's why this trend looks similar year over year, but it is growing. And you've heard me say that here a number of times, that listing inventory is slightly increasing. And you can see it clear as day here. And that just means that buyers have more options. It also is a large contributor as to why there's some back and forth between buyers and sellers. Sellers aren't ready to get beat up on like buyers are ready to do the beating up. And I will tell you, as an agent active in the business, it's harder right now, no doubt about it. Let's see, new listings we talked about, pending sales too. You can see when you see something like this little spread right here. There was a spike of pending sales, but not all of them closed. Otherwise, this line would be much straighter. So this, to me, shows a sale fail rate. We've talked about that as well. Again, this is not the end of the world, but sale fails have been consistently higher than they were in years past. No doubt about it. Let's see. One other. Oh, and you can see it not just on graphically, but numerically. I think that this is an interesting number. There we go. That's probably a little more helpful. The year-to-date numbers are what I'm looking at. So you can see that closed sales are awful darn close. The graph showed the same thing, but they're awful close. The number of closed sales year-to-date, this is through September, this year versus last year. We're within a couple hundred. within 250 anyway. That's for all of Tri-County. And that's why this number is only 1.6 difference. This number shows this year-to-date total market time is up almost 17%. Well, it's what, 8 days, 9 days? Yeah, it's 9 days. That's the difference in market time. And by the way, these are averages. If you remember, I look at average and median, and there's a definite disparity between the two. These are week over week numbers versus the cumulative or month over month numbers that we were just looking at here. And these are cumulative year to date. So on average, homes are taking a couple months to sell. The median really is quicker than that. By and large, homes are taking, a month to 40 days. That's not a gross market time. That's not like, holy smokes, I'm going to be on the market 17 years. Really, it's 40 days, a month or two on average. There are definitely some homes, and I have worked with them on both sides, the buyer and seller side of the ledger, where they've been on the market a really long time. And there's often reasons. Most of the time, it's the same reason. We started wrong in price and we didn't correct it if I'm working with a seller. So it happens. And we're in a flat market. So when you miss right now as a seller on price, you stay wrong unless you make adjustments. And if you aren't making adjustments as a seller frequently enough or large enough, the market's not going to be receptive to it. That has always been my experience, and it has absolutely been my experience in the current market that we're in. So the last graphic that I wanted to touch on, here, let me minimize this again, is this one, and I won't dive into it too deep, but I'm going to attach it so you can study it to your heart's content. But you can see that the marketplace is broken into areas: Gresham, Troutdale, Southeast Portland, Milwaukee, so on. To me, the important column is this one right here. This is average sales price change, right? So this tells you year over year, what's the market doing in Southeast Portland? What's the market doing in Gresham? And you can see that by and large, North Portland has seen a relatively high increase in average sales price. Now, the other end of the spectrum, the Mountain, which has had really ridiculous appreciation, more than just about any other area in Portland Metro. I think it's finally showing signs of its overheated nature. And so it's got a little bit of a decline. It's not a gross decline, but it's relatively large, right? So, markets like where my office is out in Gresham, flat as this desk that I'm sitting at. Less than 1% change. That and like I said, we've looked at market time and those things. So you can the market time gets broken down a little bit more finely broken down by area, but you can see that by and large, there's no huge stragglers. Most of this is plus or minus 2 months, month and a half to 2 months. So I really appreciate having this information available, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you. This is how, when somebody asks me, well, what's going on with the market? I can answer quickly and as thoroughly as they want, because I study this stuff all the time. So, I make it available to you. I don't expect you to study it. It's fairly unfascinating to most people that aren't interested in real estate. But most people are at least casually interested in what's going on with the market. If you're a homeowner, if you want to be a homeowner, if you're going to be a seller and a buyer, even if you're not, people want to know, how's my real estate holdings doing? I own a home. How's it doing? By and large, it's doing about this right here. That's what, by and large, what it's doing. So at least for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's not a bad thing. It's, this is a bad thing for the marketplace. And we saw this between 2020 and 2022. That is not good for the marketplace. That is the reason, by and large, we have a small, overly cheap interest rates created an overheated market, which created an affordability crisis. Period. Now, how do we get through it? Well, we got to get to a place where enough people want to participate in the market that will release those abnormally low interest rates, that will release that inventory to the marketplace and break the logjam, if you will. And that's kind of happening. Rates have come down a little bit, but not really, I wouldn't say enough yet, and certainly not long enough yet for the public to go, all right, that's good. We want to participate. People are still moving. You can see the numbers. The rate of sales is still happening similarly from this time last year and frankly this time the year before. So it's not like nobody's doing anything. But if we want to really see an uptick in the market, bottom line, it's just going to take rates to come down to a place where people that haven't yet chosen to participate hop into the market and start participating. It's that simple. Anyway, it was a glorious day today. I got to watch a fantastic soccer game, a bunch of 10-year-old girls running around, and our team prevailed, so fantastic. Anyway, I hope you and yours are having a wonderful weekend. Obviously, if there's anything going on that you have questions about, reach out, make a call, send me a message, in whatever form you'd like. I'm usually available at all of them. So anyway, I love what I do. I'm here for you. Let's talk. All right. Till the next time.